This video is aimed at anyone who organises events and uses Eventanizer to provide individual support to their guests and participants. We have already learned how to create and edit contacts in Eventanizer. In the next few minutes, we will create our first event. First, I would like to point out that the personal and address data you will see in this video are randomly selected test data that have no connection to real people. Let's take a quick look at the steps we take to organise an event. First, we'll look at invited events. This means we actively invite our guests and collect confirmations, cancellations, and other information from them. First, we create our contacts for the event or maintain them within our database. Another option would be to import an external Excel list for the event and update our contact list at the same time. In the second step, we define an event with its typical information. This includes, for example, the event date, location, format, etc. Once this event has been created, we define our invitation list by adding contacts to the event. The next steps will then be to create and edit the registration form and its components, send out the invitations, evaluate the registrations, and organise the content of our event. In this video, we will focus on steps 2 and 3. What happens now in Eventanizer? To create a new event, we first switch to the event list. We find a button Add Event at the top right of the screen. I create an empty event without using a template. A sidebar opens where we can enter the event data. First, we set the title of the event and the start and end times. If you plan to use admission tickets later, it may be useful to also set the start and end times, or the admission time. In my example, I am planning a one-day evening event on the topic of the year in review in December. I define myself as the project manager and add deputies as project members if necessary. We provide a separate video on the topic of authorizations. I select on-site as the execution type. I now add an event image, which I can crop to the correct format in a dialog box. Don't forget to complete your entries by clicking Create. I can now find my newly created event in the event list. I have the option to search by event name or filter by type or time range. By clicking on the event, I can now switch to the event and see the guest list, which is currently still empty. At the same time, my menu tree on the left in the navigation has changed to the elements of the event. Depending on your installation, you will also find special modules for your event here. We are currently in the Guests menu. A little tip at this point. If you click on the small star in the event card, you can define the event as a favourite and find it more quickly in the event list when you display your favourites. Of course, each Eventanizer user can set their own favourites. Incidentally, you will see the Edit Event button in the first line of the screen, which will take you back to the basic properties of your event at any time. You can also set your favourites here. We now want to create a guest list and add contacts to my invitation list. Don't worry, invitations will not be sent out immediately during this preparatory task. To make it easier to understand how to add people, I should mention that there can be different types of participants in an event. Of course, the guest group is the most important, but it can also make sense to maintain other groups of people such as speakers, organisational staff, drivers, etc. in Eventanizer. When we click on Add Guests, a dialog box opens where you will find the various options for selecting guests. The simplest option is to select a single contact. This displays the entire contact list, from which you can select people using the filters. Then select the participant type, in my case guests, and click on Import. The second option is to add all the people on a distribution list as guests. First, I select the distribution list, and then a list of the people it contains is displayed. Here, I can still select individual people, but be careful. Now, it's a matter of deselecting. And after selecting the participation type, importing. The third option is to use a dynamic rule. Here, I can select and add people based on characteristics. We provide a separate video for using dynamic rules. If you have already held an event with an identical guest list, you can use the By Event option to transfer the guests to another event. Here too, you can exclude individual guests before transferring them. The last option for defining your guest list is to import an Excel file. Existing contacts are recognized, new ones are added and then included in your guest list. We have also prepared a short video for you on this function. As you can see, there are many ways to compile a guest list. And of course, you can also carry them out one after the other and combine them with each other. Once you have compiled your guest list, you can, of course, also remove individual guests from the guest list. Select the relevant people and choose Remove. This does not remove the contact as such, but only the person from the invitation list for this event. This brings us to the end of this episode, and we hope we have been able to explain this feature in a simple and understandable way. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. We will be happy to answer your questions personally or give you a deeper insight into Eventanizer. Contact us directly or book a consultation appointment right away at eventanizer.events. Thank you. Your Eventanizer support team.